And then I will just share my screen. All right, can everyone see this okay? This is the agenda.
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So first up, we just have a couple minutes to go over. So we had minutes from December 10th that I sent out, or excuse me, from December 15th. Um, I don't know if folks got to take a look at these, but we could also take a minute and read through them now if anyone didn't get a chance.
I'm good with both sets whenever anybody else is.
Yeah, I think everything looks fine to me.
Okay, does someone want to make a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve the December 10th and January 20th minutes.
I'll second that.
Should I do a roll call for us?
Yeah, that would be great.
Okay, so Holly Lankowski,
Yes.
Eric Farrell,
Yes.
James Cambias,
James Cambias, aye.
and Rulin Bialik. Yes. Hi.
Great. Okay. And then next we had minutes for the January 20th meeting. Just as a reminder, this was a brief meeting, really just to try to get the police assistant position, over and done with, and same with the principal assessor. I think we ran into some issues with the police assistant job description. I don't think we got to the principal assessor in the end, but so pretty brief minutes here. If folks are ready, could make a motion and take a roll call vote on that as well.
I move that we accept the minutes of January whatever the date is,
20th.
20th.
I'll second that.
Okay, and I'll do roll call. James Cambias,
James Cambias, aye.
Eric Farrell,
Aye.
Holly Lankowski,
Yes.
and Rulin Bialik. Yes.
Great. All right, and then we can move on to, we don't have any hearings or appearances tonight. So we can move on to that police department assistant position. Let me pull up, I'm going to share a Word document version of it.
May I ask a question?
Oh, please.
Would it be okay if this is later in the agenda? Because we just got it, and I don't
Yep.
want to go down this rabbit hole where we run out of time for things we haven't been getting to.
Yep, sure. That makes sense to me. So then why don't we'll jump to the principal assessor because we've been trying to get that done. And I think that's a little more straightforward. Yeah, so here's the principal assessor job description. Just as a reminder for everyone, this is basically replacing the administrative assistant to the Board of Assessors. And so the hope is that, we'll be able to get someone who can provide some additional, talent and cover some additional tasks, and so that we can actually potentially lower the scope of our or narrow the scope that our consultant currently provides in terms of computer assisted mass appraisals. So that's the idea here, and there's no hopefully not much of, if any, increase in budget required for this. But obviously it is a new position, so we did have to put together a job description and put it before the personnel board. I don't think we had too much in the way of outstanding questions or concerns on this one, so we kind of just need a vote unless anyone's got anything they want to raise at this point.
Yeah.
What is the CAMA software or whatever? There's a couple references to that.
Yeah, so that's computer assisted mass appraisal. So that's, we use Patriot Properties.
Yeah.
And it's essentially just a way of doing the work for the assessors, but through a database of our individual properties.
Okay. Further up, there was more of a reference to it. I think the third bullet down. So
yeah.
The Patriot Property is a CAMA database. Is that correct? If I'm understanding this right?
Yeah, so they undertake a lot of the appraisal work for us. And so I think what Karen's doing a lot of now is taking that work and adding it into the database, and spot checking essentially for them. So that's yeah, I think any assessor would be familiar with CAMA.
So to clarify, Patriot Properties does appraisals for us as well as has the database that we
Yeah, so they'll run reports on the database. So for example, if we have, if we're trying to look at all single family homes or something like that, they could run a report based on that. And I kind of I wish Karen were here to speak more to the specifics of what they do, but yeah, that's they do a lot of the appraisal work. And I think the idea was there are a couple evaluation tasks or reval tasks in their current scope that a principal assessor could potentially take on, and so then we wouldn't have to pay them for that.
Okay,
So that was the hope.
that's what I wanted to clarify.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
some of
yeah.
what they do for us, we're trying to move here.
Right, exactly.
And that is addressed. I'm just trying to find my spots on this job description. Are we putting in here that there will be appraisals done by this position?
Let me refresh my memory.
I know I'm trying to do the same.
I mean, we definitely have them going and taking photos of homes and doing that work.
Bullet under essential function says determines market values of property by
Right.
using appropriate appraisal techniques.
Right.
Okay.
Stop there.
I have a quick question, or hopefully quick. Is it? I don't see a grade or hours. Is that not been determined yet, or did I miss it?
Well, I think there's kind of two grades that we were looking at this potentially being at when we ran it through the Collins Center document. So potentially, I think it was a grade E or a grade G, or excuse me, a grade F or a grade G. So I think probably we're going to want to talk to the Board of Assessors about what they think is appropriate in terms of, if they were to post a job description, what's the minimum dollar amount that there would need to be in that salary line to actually get some qualified candidates. So I defer to the BOA on that, but that was the initial thinking was, yeah, let's look at one of the higher grades for this position since it is a principal assessor.
Yeah. Is it a full-time job or?
It is, yeah.
Full-time.
Full-time. Yeah.
And but it's mostly taking over tasks that currently been done by contracted work. So the money that's been going to contract is going to support.
Yeah. So instead of currently, we just have an administrative assistant to the Board of Assessors. This would replace that position, and then hopefully, yes, take on some of those tasks that have been going to consulting.
And what is the administrative position graded at?
That is a great question.
The
I can give
admin
you that.
assistant is grade E.
Grade E.
In fact, I wanted to ask a couple of questions about that. So you said that the principal assessor, which is currently listed as vacant with a 66,000 budget line, that will replace the admin assistant?
Yeah.
Okay. And also, what are we currently doing on contracted? Is it contracted services or assessor's expense where the outside?
Yeah, a portion of it. So there's a mapping portion associated with the assessor's work, and that's under contracted services. I think that's just a flat $3,000 a year, and then the bulk.
That's under assessor expense.
Okay, that's under assessor expense. I thought that was contracted services, but so then yeah, and then the bulk of it should be, and I don't have it in front of me, but yeah, I believe the bulk of it is under the assessor expense for Patriot Properties. And it might not end up being, I believe we're going to put out an RFP this year. In the past, we've gotten, I think Mayflower is one of the other mass appraisal companies that you get bids from. So it's possible we won't end up with Patriot Properties again. But we'll see.
So I don't see an item under assessor expense for any of those specific outfits. There's mapping services. What else would it be under? Because most of their other expenses are pretty tiny.
Take a look. I'm pulling up my budget. I can see if maybe we do have it under contracted services, but
Yeah, I'll look there while you. I'm just trying to figure out how much we're actually going to be adding to our budget.
right. Yeah, Jim, I think it's under assessor's expense, and there's a software licenses and online assessment fees. And then I'll have to double check and make sure the mapping isn't duplicated, but I think it's possible Patriot does some mapping, and then we also maintain our GIS
So it's,
mapping system separately.
so those 10,000 of expenses would basically get rolled into the salary for the.
Not 100% of it. Not 100% of it. So we're still going to need to have Patriot services. And I think some years there's also a reval line that goes along with this. But yeah, I would have to check. I mean, Jim, I appreciate you're the finance committee rep, so I'm glad you're asking these questions. But we do also probably want to return to the job description.
Okay.
I had something under confidentiality.
Yep.
I wanted to just look at that section. I had a note here. Regular access to I had just a note saying something about confidentiality and discretion. So I don't know like how much information there is confidential versus available for the general public, because I know property records are pretty open for people to look at, but does this need to be shored up at all? Because we're talking about medical records. I don't even know where that comes into this position, so.
Yeah, I wonder if this wherever this language was taken from, it was assuming that this was like a department head who would have employees who would be providing basically they're dealing with personnel files. That's not really the nature of this position, so we could update the confidentiality piece to just say, because the main confidential stuff that they're dealing with, if you could even call it that, is people's property records. So,
but those are really not confidential, right?
right.
So
there might be some lawsuit. There is the lawsuits category, and I could see how that might.
Right. I could see the lawsuits.
Yeah.
But yeah, if we could just maybe tighten that up for this position.
Yep.
Just strike those two words.
And then I also had a note under special requirements. I think there might have been a typo in the wording, but this is a while ago, so.
So what are all those ampersands doing in there?
I'll have to take a look where the ampersands are.
You could just type the word "and" like a civilized person.
Is that
They're
under
so
special
pretty.
requirements?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Let's see. Third line in, I said use up to for the within word. 24 months, I don't know. We'll have within 24 months of the data hire, to complete, their credentials. Would we say up to, or I don't, it just,
Yep, let me just take it.
I
I
just
see
want
what
to
you
read
mean.
it again.
A little clarity, a little wordsmithing.
If the employee does not hold this credential upon hire, the employer will have within 24 months of the date of hire
we'll need to obtain.
to obtain it. Yeah, we just need to finish that sentence. Yeah. Let me add a word there.
Okay.
And I'll eliminate the ampersands. How does that sound, Jim?
Yeah.
Thanks for dusting off the cobwebs. I had those notes from a few meetings ago.
Yeah. Let's see.
Is Karen still in her position?
He is, yeah.
Okay. That's good.
Yeah. So, all right, I can make those adjustments. Anything else people saw in here?
No, this one was good.
Yeah, looks okay.
Seems pretty straightforward. I mean, I'm
And then-
assuming that the assessors, the board of assessors, have had a hand in this.
Yeah, they looked at it back in December and we clarified a couple things based on their comments as well. And Jim, to the financial questions, I think we'll, when we get to discuss this with FinCom, we'll kind of nail down, okay, here's how much of that consultant scope we're trying to shave off, and here's what we think the dollar value on that is.
Thank you.
And make it a little clearer.
And this
So-
will roll in then the admin assistant position that currently exists, right?
Right. Yeah. Okay. Do we feel like we can vote this one contingent on those updates that we just mentioned?
Yes. Let's cut this one loose.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
think so too. Do you want to make the motion, Holly?
Sure. I make a motion with the amendments as noted during today's meeting that we approve the principal assessor's position.
Second,
Okay, James Cambias,
James Cambias, aye.
Eric Farrell,
Aye.
Holly Lankowski,
Aye.
and Berlin Bialik, aye.
Great. All right. All right. Well, thanks for getting through that one, everyone. Here, I will just share my screen again, and we'll jump to the next one on here. So this was a position that has been talked about for a bit. Essentially, our DPW, while obviously, as is implied by their department name, mostly deals with public works. They also handle our facilities as well, so our vertical buildings. So it's been discussed for a while whether or not there should be a dedicated position for maintaining town buildings. I think in particular, Julie Chalfant from the Finance Committee, in her work on the Town Building Advisory Committee, has really wanted to see something that's more focused on that, so we can kind of move forward a comprehensive capital plan for all of our town buildings, and get ahead of some of the maintenance needs that always pop up. So yeah, I think both her and Matthew Morse, our DPW superintendent, acknowledge this probably isn't the budget year to add this position. However, they want to put it out there, kind of put it in the mix, and just at least so we're kind of aware of, hey, this is something we're going to try to fund potentially at some point. So I did want to make sure the personnel board got to take a look at it. It is in a little bit of a gray area in that it's a union position. And a lot of what we do, can't cross over into the collective bargaining agreements that, dictate our relationship with that organization. Nonetheless, it's a job description for a position in the town. So I did want, personnel to take a look at it. And again, the basic idea here is to have somebody who can, serve as both, in-house handyman, but also somebody who can just keep track of all those different maintenance needs and kind of schedule contractors when they're needed to actually take care of those different tasks. And again, Julie's hope here was to kind of get ahead of things on the capital improvement plan, and just, stay on top of our town buildings. So I don't know if folks got to take a look at this or if you had any questions, but just something that I wanted to bring up at this point for maybe a first reading, we'll call it.
So I looked at it and I'm a little concerned that it seems to be two jobs pretending to be one. Because on the one hand, it's a physical repair job. It's a
Yeah.
technician, which we probably could use. And then it's also essentially an administrator, somebody, a coordinator who's going to be, working with. I'm wondering if we are likely to find somebody who can satisfy both sets of requirements there.
Yeah.
Or it might make more sense to essentially pile some of the administrative stuff onto Mr. Morse and just have this as a straight maintenance guy.
Right. Yep.
I'm,
And there's another possibility as well that I brought up, which is just outsourcing a lot of this. So there are companies that'll just say, we'll handle all your town building maintenance needs. And so you could put out an RFP and procure their services as well. And that has pluses and minuses. Certainly on the plus side, you don't have to provide health insurance, et cetera. But of course, you'll also see their profit margins. So yeah, but that's a good point, Jim.
do we have an assigned person within the DPW staff that is fulfilling this role, or is it assigned based on what projects come up?
Yeah, it's currently, it's a lot of it is falling on Matthew. But yeah, I believe at one point there was a specific DPW employee who was supposed to be the dedicated facilities manager. They're no longer with the town, and this position really hasn't been, it hasn't been filled, and it's not even identified actually now in our collective bargaining agreements.
It almost seems, to Jim's point, that we at least go back to fulfilling a position of someone who's a dedicated maintainer. Because, as we're creating new space for our residents, we want to keep it pristine and new and cared for. And I think that would be an easier sell to start with. Does the position evolve into something more? But if we don't currently have a maintainer, I just assumed we did.
You'll see every guy who works over there come by a town building when there's something that needs to be repaired, because there's no specific person. It'll just be whoever's available. So yeah.
Well, then maybe the skill set isn't there for what the problem is, where if you have someone with the skill set of doing maintaining, they have more of the general experience of doing the repairs. I mean, I'm sure, some things need to get contracted out because they're bigger, but
I mean, to be honest, it's a little unrealistic to expect one person to be a carpenter, HVAC, plumber, electrician, whatever else, whatever other maintenance jobs need doing. So, I mean, it's going to inevitably wind up being spread out among some of the other DPW people anyway, just on the basis of what they know how to do best.
Well, yeah, and I think again, you're kind of looking at an in-house handyman who can do the minor stuff, but then also will, again, work with contractors when you need to actually do some more major stuff. I think
So we need a handyman who is willing to admit when he can't do something.
Yeah, maybe that's the unrealistic part. I think probably the best next step would just be to bring in Julie and Matthew and have them speak to the position. Because I know they had a lot of back and forth over this because obviously what Julie's looking at from the town building advisory committee perspective is a little bit different from what the highway department is looking at. So they might be able to speak to some of the thought process behind this. And some similar positions in other communities that they were trying to base this off of. So if it sounds okay with everyone, maybe I'll invite them to a March meeting and I know we said we're going to try to meet quarterly, but it doesn't seem like we're going to get there. So maybe we can invite them to a March meeting and just have them speak to it a little bit.
That sounds great.
I think that sounds good. I mean, I think it will be interesting to learn more, and it always feels a little unclear what our role is as personnel in terms of, I mean, I guess we're another set of eyes and a kind of an outside opinion in a way of how we're
a sanity check sometimes, right?
Yeah, just sort of like, okay, does this make sense? Is this like, but we also don't know everything about everything, so sometimes it feels a little unclear what our role is in this, but I think it would be good to hear them. I'm also just a very practical question. I noticed this job description has a different format, and at the top it's got that bar that I've seen before with the grade and all those. And I'm wondering if, I know we already approved the other one, but is that just hasn't gotten to this point yet, or is this an old format? I remember at one point we talked about having all the job descriptions follow kind of the same format.
Yeah, and this one, so we have some that are in this is like an internal format, so it includes that grade, et cetera, which would normally, I think you would end up, if you're going to mention a grade, you're going to probably put that in a vacancy posting rather than an actual job description. So that's, this will probably get reformatted before posting. Though again, I don't anticipate this being a position we try to recruit for this year anyway, in all likelihood. So, but yeah.
I just wasn't sure which way we were going. Are we going toward the bar at the top or toward the other one like you showed before?
Yeah, again, I think this is what we're seeing here is an internal one. So it's just, yeah.
Who does the just the regular cleaning kind of maintenance tasks for the town buildings?
Sorry, say it again. The cleaning,
the cleaning, I know at the town hall, the cleaners come in. I've been there for evening meetings and they're just bustling around.
It's contracted service, right?
Yeah, so that's just it. We have a janitorial service.
Is that just for the town hall?
They cover town hall, library. I don't believe they cover DPW. I think they do cover PD. So it's it's some of the town buildings, but not necessarily all.
Okay.
And I will mention, we have been talking about going out to bid for janitorial services as well. So that's something potentially, if a person is in this position, maybe they would facilitate that process as well.
But for the schools, that falls under the school budgets?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they have their own service.
Okay. Thanks.
Did we just lose Eric?
I think we did. Hopefully he comes back. Oh, there he is.
Oh, good.
Eric, can you hear us?
Yeah, sorry, that was internet on my end kicking me out.
No worries. All right. Well, we'll just return to this one next month. Then I'll invite Matthew and Julian, and we'll talk it over. And let me share one more here before. Let's see. Well, Holly, this is kind of the Holly show here. So I'm curious. Do you want to jump into the police one now, or are you comfortable talking a little bit about the performance management piece?
What does the group want to do? I just thought we got the police so late that I was trying to be efficient and get through a few tasks.
No, I appreciate that. It was a good thought. So I would just remind everyone on this one, so we kind of at the outset of the year with our work plan, we wanted to look at performance management or performance evaluations. In the past, I think the town has in the past occasionally tried doing this, and for whatever reason, it just hasn't stuck. Currently we don't have formal, performance evaluations, and employees just pretty much automatically get their COLA and their 2.5% step each year. So we, Holly did some of the legwork to actually, just put together a very simple, straightforward policy. I think that the devil will be in the form that we have to create for each one of our department heads to actually fill out when they're doing the evaluations. And she also put it in a format where, we can either have it just as standalone or if it's tied to step increases or bonuses. So down here, there's kind of a second piece around that. So I don't know if folks got to take a look at this. I just sent it out yesterday. I thought it was good, and I think my only comments were I might add something just around the supremacy of collective bargaining agreements or anything like that, just to make sure it's clear we're not stepping on toes in that way. But yeah, Jim, you have a
And
question?
with the mention of the like the police department and the DPW are in their own set of criteria. Chris shared the police kind of like the little blurb within the police contract, and some of the verbiage below the dotted line, that's where I took that from, because that was referenced within the body of that agreement. So that would make everyone on a parallel to another department in the community that's covered by a collective bargaining agreement. Again, just trying to find some parity so that everybody's a little more equal. I don't know if anyone had a chance to look at this or has any questions. For the personnel manual, I was trying to keep this just really kind of succinct. I did another document that might be an announcement kind of thing to help people understand what might be covered. And as far as people panicking with forms, I've really had a lot of experience developing forms, and I would continue to help you, Chris, or your staff, if you wanted some help with doing that as well.
Yeah, and we've got tons of different versions at this point. It's kind of just selecting what works best for us. So yeah. Jim, you got a question?
I got two questions. The first is, so who do these forms go to, right? So the supervisor fills out an evaluation. Who then who then reads this evaluation? Is it the select board or personnel board or?
They get, when I was talking with Chris, he said the town administrator's office keeps the documents.
All right. But then, so the decision about step increases and or bonuses would be made by
The supervisor.
department? Okay, so, or department head or something? Okay.
I mean, if that's how the authority is passed down, I can just go from my work history. It was the immediate supervisor. If an employee touched other areas, they might get input. There are some town hall employees who support a couple of areas, so the overarching supervisor might get input from the other area. But ultimately, they would be responsible for doing the review document and meeting with the employee.
Okay, so I have two concerns, and this is going to sound really hard-hearted of me to say this, but how likely is it that everybody will always get a bonus?
I will say, one thing that came up when we were researching this earlier this year was one town administrator who said we used to do these, then we stopped doing them because the supervisors were giving everyone, A+ every time, regardless. So it really is, it does kind of come down to managing your supervisors and getting them to be honest. And I think probably the way I'd want to handle it, at least the first year, is to sit in on, those performance evaluation conversations with the employee, even though I'm not the one directly making the decision. Just because, in the back of my head, I know what each one of our employees excels at and what they need help with. And so I think it would be good to have that second voice in the room. But yeah, that's definitely a real concern, Jim. Is the easy way is just say, oh yeah, sure, you're good, $200 bonus or whatever it is. So yeah.
And the flip side is, if somebody actually decides, okay, this person has not been satisfactory, so they shouldn't get their step increase, what kind of legal expenses are we likely to have to look at if somebody decides to challenge that by taking us to court?
Yeah, well, I think like any one of these policies, Labor Council is going to take a look at it at some point before we finalize it. Particularly when it comes to pay. Yeah. I know, one thing we're also going to have to look at is just making sure those bonuses, if that does become part of the policy, if we decide to go with that version of it, that those aren't included as wages, that those are considered some kind of stipend. And so we'll have to take a close look at that as well. But yeah, I would just say Labor Council is going to take a look at it.
Might it be useful to include some language limiting the frequency a employee can get a bonus? Like cannot get it in consecutive years or something? So that it does not simply become a essentially extra bit of salary.
That's a good point.
Or that the supervisor can only provide a bonus to like a certain percentage of their employees or something. Like it wouldn't, if they had not employees, but the people that they supervise, so that it's not a given that every single person would get one. I mean, I know it is kind of hard to talk about this because we want to feel like everyone is doing perfectly all the time and being rewarded and
but everyone is not above average by definition.
even in Lake Wobegon.
Yeah, that's right.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go ahead, Raylene. Finish up.
I was just, I'm thinking about my experience. I mean, I've worked in public schools for decades, and we have a very elaborate system of observation, and we actually have a report every other year, like a summative evaluation. And I just think it's a really healthy thing to have some system of feedback. And if someone is struggling, I think sometimes it's a sign that they need support. You need to identify that there's a problem with their performance and support them and make some kind of improvement plan and some working together. And then if that still doesn't work, then you can take the step of the person either not getting their step increase or potentially even not being able to keep their job. But it's like you have both supported the employee and made efforts to help them get better, help them improve. And so, it's easier said than done, but I do think it's a really worthwhile thing to pursue for employees to have that. It's both, it's an incentive, it's feedback, it's critical feedback, and it's just kind of it's an opportunity to get support if you're struggling, kind of all in one.
Yep. And certainly, Raylene, that's, from my perspective, that's the intention behind a performance management system, is that a good supervisor is counseling an employee, not just that once a year, but if they're seeing some trend to be not in the right direction of their performance, that they would be meeting with them periodically to see how they could help them improve. And if they don't, well, then at least you have something to go back on to say,
right,
we've made attempts on 3 different occasions to address some of these issues, but they're still happening. The verbiage about all of this bonus stuff, I didn't originally have this, but this was all in our police department collective bargaining agreement.
Hmm.
So I would presume if it's in there, and Chris, you can say yes or no, that our legal has already looked at that kind of verbiage. as
Oh,
far-
yeah, certainly. Yeah.
So I didn't just like dream it up. It was there, and I thought, well, that's where you could do some tie-in to. But I also feel that if we're introducing this, and I don't know if it's a 2-step process, that for the first year, that whole below the dotted line area wouldn't apply. Get people in the groove with doing the reviews, get people in the groove of how it may impact them a year later.
Yeah.
And that way people can understand. I would have to ask the question for bonuses on the police department. If a bonus is given out, doesn't chief have to have the money within his budget to do that bonus?
Right, and that's probably in his payroll budget. Um,
So if you start handing them out like candy, you're going to mess up your budget.
That's kind of what I was thinking. Like, well, could there be some if this were something that would be wanted to be considered? Could that would I would imagine have to go through finance committee? I'd almost say like, if you want to go that road, do you approve some sort of like bonus pool as part of like the overall town budget? And so all of the supervisors need to be able to coordinate with each other and be like, well, this is the so that and set it up in a way so that you don't necessarily you can't guarantee that every employee will get a bonus, because like to Jim's comments, like like everybody is not above average. Like you can't have every employee rated that way.
Right. As a supervisor, if that's what you're doing, then I have to say shame on you because you really need to justify it.
Yeah.
And, how are you justifying it for everybody on your staff?
Yeah, maybe the bonus, maybe the decision on the bonus, like there instead of it being at the discretion of the supervisor alone, like they have to, maybe there's some sort of, does it go to Chris as the town administrator, and or like a mini committee, and they need to make their case in writing about why I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what the answer is. Hmm.
I think it's a great start, though. And I think going in this direction is
Yeah.
a good idea. Thank you for doing it, Holly. I think it's a really good direction to go in.
Oh, yeah, I think everybody agrees that this is a useful thing. We just don't want it to, we want it to be useful.
Right.
Yeah.
And that's why I was almost hesitant on the whole bonus thing, included or not. But I think, Chris, when I sent you this stuff, I thought maybe rolling it out softly the first year,
right.
just to get buy-in on doing the whole reviews, because it is going to be some added work, but also to, I hate to use the word sell it the right way, but to, get buy-in to start to use it.
Yeah.
People need to feel it's worth their time
Yeah.
and it's useful.
Right. Yeah.
And the whole concept of evaluation is that I support that, like it being able to be assessed for like your job performance, like that's that I think is something that should be an expectation wherever you're working. Like there should be some sort of an evaluation, and whatever, and how what form that takes can be different, in different types of industries, but something.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
Well, so I think this is a good first reading. I think probably we can talk about this some more next month, but also it sounds like if the plan is only to roll this out softly, so to speak, for next year, say, without this being tied to bonuses and step increases and those things, then maybe we can let that conversation percolate as well and think about that, rather than trying to make a decision here tonight about it. But
I think that makes sense. Yeah, I don't think a decision tonight is. I wouldn't think that was the goal. Like I said, the first reading, we've got a sense of a direction. Questions, like you said, there's the piece about the union. Like if there's a way to write that, like you said, some sort of language to indicate, like, I guess that would be the question: is it's like, do the current union contracts have any kind of evaluation system built into the CBAs?
Well, if this bottom section comes from the police one, then yes, they must.
Yeah. I think more specifically, I'd love to see exactly how that works in the chief's budget, and then, how often those are given out, to get an understanding of, does this end up just being something that you just assume is going to happen, or is it really, no, this is for someone who goes above and beyond their normal duties.
Mm-hmm.
So I can take a look at that. I'm happy to talk with Holly about how that piece of the budget works.
So if you called it a soft rollout, just to get things going and get some buy-in, do you tell people, like, if you decided to do it to impact salary, do you tell people that will happen on the second year? Because I think if you don't set the stage up for how that's going to be, then, I think that people need to understand that this is going to be an important part of, as an employee and as a supervisor, of how we're moving forward.
Yeah, I think you frame it as this year we're just, doing conversations, but next year this will likely be tied to step increases or bonuses or whatever we end up determining that'll be. And
So
we'll have to wordsmith it so that we're not, so we're making it clear there will be some kind of potential financial impact, but it's not going to be. We still give ourselves some time to determine how that'll actually work.
Okay. And so if the personnel manual is updated, it will just have a reference to that, and then it would be updated further the next year.
Exactly.
If we did. Yeah. Okay.
Okay. Any other questions on this for the time being?
No, I mean, it's
great. Well, thank you for. Thanks for doing the work, Holly, and pulling this up. I know that there were a bunch of different evaluation systems we looked at, so it's nice to have something that's just simple and straightforward here to start us off.
My offer to help will continue if you need some.
Great. Okay. So I think now we're probably ready to just take a look at the police assistant piece. And I'll just note the time, 6:52. So we're doing pretty good. Let me just pull this up here. So I'll just kind of quickly go through how I addressed some of the comments that came up at the last board meeting. And then we can dive in if we've noticed anything that's still an issue. It sounded to me like there was some consensus that police administrative assistant didn't seem to quite, have enough gravitas, perhaps, for the position as it was written. So police staff assistant sounded like it was a good option. So that's what I've listed here. Again, not married to it or anything, but just based on what I heard from the board last time around. Jumping down to a couple specific comments board members had, got rid of the paralegal level review. I think I remember that was included in there. Obviously, we don't want to imply that this person needs to be a paralegal or should have that kind of training. Similarly, when one of the essential functions is to maintain logs of service calls, et cetera. wanted to just clarify that this is as assigned. Presumably officers are doing a lot of this work anyway. Just to be clear, it's not like they're doing all of it. And some minor wordsmithing. I think the emergency operations command post, we had talked about how it kind of sounded like they were running the whole command post. That's not really the intention for the position. So I just added in assist in the emergency operations command post activities, and as directed. So it's just clear that they're being supervised in their role in that position. And then the really squirrely question of the matron. I tried to just kind of skirt it a little bit and just say, serve as matron when required and if applicable, consistent with departmental policy, training, and legal requirements. So I think hopefully that'll get us what we need, but I tried to keep it a little vague there. So, and then jumping down, because obviously the qualifications were questioned. I added in, because we had a couple different potential associate's degrees they could have. And oddly, criminal justice wasn't in there, so I did add criminal justice or related field. And then I think we were kind of going back and forth over a couple minor wording things that says understanding of accounts payable. I just put in demonstrated experience with accounts payable and accounts receivable. Got rid of vital and just said required. This is all probably ringing a bell. We talked about it back in January. And then there was a bunch of verbiage here about specific equipment that they'd need to operate. I just eliminated that because I think the board had consensus that was basically all trainable items and stuff we didn't need to include in the minimum qualifications. So I eliminated that as well. And then work environment, this is another one where there are a couple issues. So rather than kind of go into the unpleasant things that you might run into in a police station, I just added periodic work in non-office environments and exposure to noise or other conditions typical of a law enforcement facility. So again, just keep it vague. And you're working at a police station. It's maybe not going to be the same thing as a regular office, but it's not too different most of the time. And then just some more wordsmithing on this, just to make it a little clearer. And then I had a couple questions for the board. Maybe I'll just jump down here first really quick. Motor skills. Again, I just eliminated some things that we felt didn't need to be spelled out. Fingerprinting, firearms license processing, like these things are not really any different than any normal motor skills having to do with telephones and computers and related technology. So I don't think they need to be called out. I don't know if we need to talk about the matron duties again here. Seems maybe best not to, but given how squirrely it is, but yeah. And then I also, just for visual skills, similarly, just tried to kind of eliminate anything that was duplicating motor skills. Again, I think it had like conducting fingerprinting and things like that, and I just took that out as well.
This looks great, Chris. I hesitate to even say this because of the squirreliness, but is there a special training that's required to perform the matron duties? It seems like it would require some police skill knowledge. Maybe not. I don't know. I guess they're assuming that they would train someone. I guess.
Right.
Yeah. Okay. I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, I did. So jumping back to a couple questions I did have for the board. So physical skills, this is where the matron stuff comes up again. The employee may also be required to, and it says assist, lift, or restrain individuals or animals when necessary. Again, it's a little unclear to me if they're ever actually restraining anyone or if they're only assisting in restraining someone. It's hard for me to picture Cassie doing that on a regular part of her job, but maybe she does. So I just thought maybe physically interact with or something, to make it clear that there's some component there, but it's not, we're not expecting them to, be able to tackle somebody.
I mean, there's really, you need training to
Right.
train
Yeah.
people to
Yeah.
do it safely.
Right. So I don't know if other board members have thoughts on how to address that particular piece of the job description.
I just, a person who's basically doing a support position for the department who may obviously get involved. I just don't know how we can assume that person's going to be able to restrain or lift an individual.
Right.
You could be 99% perfect for this job description, but what if you had a small disability that wouldn't allow you to do this? Is that going to prohibit you from never being able to do this job? So I'm concerned about that physical requirement there.
Right. And so that's why I was wondering if we just say the employee may also be required to physically interact with, individuals or animals or something, and kind of leave it a little bit more vague. So, you can have a reasonable accommodation in circumstances where you need it. And you're not, again, the expectation isn't, oh, you need to actually be able to tackle someone or,
Right,
or something like
Yeah.
that.
I mean, if we said physically interact with the police officers on duty to assist with, I something along that lines, but
Mhm.
not to put the onus on this position.
Right.
Yeah, I agree with you, Holly. And maybe something, due to, police related duties or it's like the environment of that, the fact that you are there in the police station, in that office, it's like you might encounter some situations.
Maybe if we just said something due to the matron responsibilities, if applicable, may physically interact with
May come into contact with arrestees, suspects, whatever we want to call them.
May have to assist the police in with physical interaction or something.
So I'm assuming that is actually like part of the job that Mr. Pacharic wants them to be able to do, but it seems like that is basically asking for a police officer.
right, and that's why I'm just concerned about this verbiage.
Yeah, I agree.
I'm almost thinking take the matron stuff out of here.
Did you talk to them?
Did I talk to the chief about it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
About like
No,
how much of the job is this?
yeah, and he kind of left it as I trust you guys to figure out what the appropriate, description here is. So
Part-time light secretarial.
Plus.
plus, yeah.
Oh. I mean, I guess there's a risk if we don't describe it, if we don't put it in the description, someone could get hired and then say, oh no, I'm not doing any of that. That's not in the description.
Yeah. Well, one way we can handle this, I hate to kick this can down the road one more month, but I do wonder if I'm happy to reach out to our small town administrators listserv, see if other folks have matron duties listed in their job descriptions. And if so, what are the physical requirements? And similarly, maybe even check in with Labor Council about, what's reasonable to expect here or what we should include given that. Yeah.
And I think it's reasonable that the description is different from sort of your typical sort of office secretarial, administrative assistant, customer service kind of job. It does feel appropriate for it to describe some more police station related duties. But it's true, we're starting to get into like you said, Jim, it's like we're starting to get into like they want another police officer
Right.
who could
Right.
function as a police officer when needed.
Yeah.
And I mean, that feels a little risky to me, honestly. Like, but I don't know. I don't work in a police station. I
Yeah.
don't know what that's like. So I want to make sure they get what they need.
Mm-hmm. I
Um,
would almost envision this position to be more of a, if it's a female person coming in with the police officers, it's a female person available just as the set of eyes to then, do whatever needs to be done because it's a female that the male officers aren't going to search or whatever.
right.
And I would imagine that the officers are going to be doing the restraining to assist a matron being able to do those responsibilities. So I know that something could go awry if someone was really aggressive, but I just
Right.
don't see that the physical skills are requiring them to do the restraining.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, to me, what I'm envisioning is it's almost not a physical skill. It's just are you comfortable, if you have to, be the one who's, assisting a victim or somebody who's been accused of a crime, in that manner, so it's almost a
Yeah.
comfort level thing. But let me reach out to STAM, the small town administrators listserv, and just see if we have other matron duty descriptions out there that can help us kind of nail this one down. I don't know if there
Yeah.
were, the only other thing I had a question about for the board was whether we felt like travel should fall under physical skills. It felt a little bit odd to me that it was in there. It almost felt like this was a working conditions type thing, not a physical skills type thing. But I'm, open to other thoughts.
I suspect what he means is that they have to be able to drive.
I would almost argue that that looks more like we don't close just because it's a snowstorm kind of deal, and you may I think I almost like it because my mom was a nurse growing up. It's like hospitals never closed. Doesn't matter if it's snow or rain. Like that's part of the job. Like if you're assigned, you've got to make your way in.
Right. Yeah. So maybe I'll just clarify with the chief and move this to a working conditions piece, work environment, because I think that's
Yeah.
probably the intention.
I could
What
see
is
it being more working environment, just like an expectation. Like this is so figure wordsmith. Yeah, I don't know
Yeah.
exactly how to figure it out right at the moment, but
Yeah, it might fit better under that work environment.
Yeah, I think so too. I mean, does it mean that like if there was some kind of emergency, I don't know what exactly that would look like, but an emergency where the police department was called in and had to be, handling it, that this person could also potentially be a part of that because it says may be required in support of departmental operations or emergency management functions. I don't.
Well,
But
because
that seems like work environment. Like, what if all the police officers a bunch of them need to be out on the streets for some reason? Then maybe this person would have to get called in to be at the desk or something.
or if there was a, God forbid, crisis like a train derailment downtown,
Mhm.
something big where now they set up a emergency command system. This
Mhm.
person, if it was crummy weather, regardless, would have to come in because they
They'd have
need
to
the
come and be able
support to be
part of
able to
that.
start
Mhm.
making calls and, doing the support they need.
Yeah. Is
Um,
that something that I mean? How is that written in other or in other descriptions? I wonder. Sort of you may be called in under emergency situations. Is that something that's in?
Oh,
I mean, almost like an essential personnel kind of
Is that
arrangements.
Is that what Chief means?
I
potentially, yeah.
Almost like this person would be deemed as essential personnel. Like I'm thinking from it like like I work at a college, and when there's a school closure, it's like, oh well, everybody except essential personnel are required are get the or come to campus. But like our maintenance, like the facilities department that actually plows the driveway, the parking lots and the stairwells and all of that stuff, they're deemed essential personnel, and so they don't get the snow day.
Yeah. But I think that this position would not be, let's just say like this past week, was it Monday? Town hall was closed
Yep.
because of the weather.
Mm.
But the
blizzard.
police obviously still have to work. But
Mhm.
I'm not sure if the police assistant had to be in or just the police. Chris, any idea on that?
Yeah, that's a good question. I believe Cassie comes in whenever they're staffed for that, at least for 8 hours of the day. Um, but yeah, no, it's a good question. I think again, I'm just going to reach out to the chief and see what his intention is on this particular piece.
Because
And
if
get
she
some
doesn't,
clarity there.
if she doesn't have to come in when the town hall is closed, because obviously she's not here for second and third shift officers to help
Right.
them. So if they don't require her to come in, then right now it would only be if there was a true catastrophe in town where they might require her, and then that might help with the verbiage that it's only for, a mass emergency kind of situation versus just everyday operation, kind of a car accident happened kind of thing.
Are there, I don't know, maybe I'm getting on a tangent here, but I mean, I know you hear about things being declared in a state of emergency by federal government or the state. Is that something does the town also declare a state of
Yep.
emergency?
Yeah, I think the last time we declared one was the 2023 storms.
The one
Um,
with flooding.
yeah.
Oh, right,
Um,
right.
And to be honest, often the declaration has more to do with procurement than anything else. It just allows
Right.
you to quickly be able to hire people to fix your roads and things like that without going through a formal process. So yeah.
Yeah. I just wondered if that could be a way to sort of put to identify it clearly, like in a situation of an emergency, this is what this person would be required to come in, or that would be the marker that indicates.
Right. It's an actual emergency. The other thing is, so I mean, the chief also has the role of the emergency management um, uh, coordinator. So he, or director rather. So in a sense, it just, this might just be catch-all language to say, oh, you're also supporting that function.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
But regardless, I think it probably should be in the working environment section of the job description. And I'll just clarify with Chief what the expectation is there, because again, I'm not certain if Cassie is generally coming in when there's a snowstorm, so to speak, or not.
Yeah. No, but I
and
think all the other changes look really good. I like them.
Great. All right. Well, I'll accept those changes. And then I will check in on the. Oh, yes, Jim.
You did get my email about the word semi-complex.
Oh, did I? Yes, but did I remember to delete semi-complex?
Okay, good. All right.
Let me see.
Like an oxymoron.
Exactly.
They're still in there. We got to change it.
All right. Yes, as I said, it should be removed and if possible burned.
What duties involve application of somewhat complicated?
Just
complex.
Yeah, either they're complex or they're not. Either it's complex or just leave out the adjective altogether.
Right, of procedures requiring extensive knowledge of the legal system.
Yeah.
Extensive knowledge already kind of covers you there. So
yeah, exactly.
Right. Thank you for that reminder, Jim.
Good call.
Complex, yeah.
Can we have a clean copy to look over before the next meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. So let me accept changes, and I'll just keep in those couple notes about the two items that are still hanging out there. and I'll send that around for everyone.
And can we have it a day before so I could read it?
Why don't I send it around next week so that we have more than
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah, because it shouldn't take me long to just accept those changes.
Sounds good. Chris, do you have a flight out yet, or
Saturday, so
Saturday?
Yep. Yeah, so I don't think we had any other items on the agenda.
Yes, you did. EMS something or other?
Oh, EMS, yeah. So just that's under the town administrator's updates. So no updates on the policies that we've been looking at there yet. I think I'm going to keep working with Josh, and he was going to also reach out to some folks at SCEMS and see if any of them were interested in filling the employee representative position on the personnel board. We have had that vacant for several months since Tim left. And I thought, that might be a good way to kind of get an insider on here to can actually speak to a lot of the differences between their position and the positions of someone like me in town hall. So more to come on that. But hopefully, we'll see if there's somebody interested. And we are interestingly still trying to navigate, if our bylaw allows us to just appoint that person or if we have to hold a whole election for them, because they are elected by the other employees traditionally. So more to come on that front. But that's the update there. Any other items? And maybe we could just nail down a meeting in March. Everyone wants to take a look at their calendars.
Yeah, let me just open up my calendar here. March.
And I think we have been trying to go with Tuesdays because finance committee is on Mondays, budget season.
Yeah, although one of the reasons I had argued for finance meetings on Mondays is that Tuesdays are routinely bad for me.
Oh, okay. Well, we can also look at Thursdays. That's another.
Thursdays are great.
Okay. Just taking a look here.
19th.
Yeah, 19th looks okay for me. I am going to just take a look at what other meetings, because we do have a couple other committees that tend to meet on Thursdays. So I just want to make sure we're not creating
There was something on the 12th, but I don't seem to have it on my calendar.
Well, actually, what's interesting is March 26th, we don't have any conflicts as of right now. The 19th, zoning.
I would have conflict on the 26th, but
You would, okay, gotcha.
yeah, I'm not available that night.
Gotcha. Okay. Currently the only other committee that's meeting is ZBA. They're meeting from 6:30 to 8:30. So the 19th is a possibility, in that sense.
Do the 19th.
Yeah.
Okay,
I could do the 19th.
great. Okay, I will send around a meeting invite for the 19th.
6
Yeah.
o'clock.
We're doing
6.
6.
Yeah, does that work for everyone?
Wait, so we're also doing March 6th, you said?
No.
No, March 19th at 6.
Oh, at 6. Okay. Yes. Perfect. Fine with me.
I was trying to go to quarterly. I'm definitely not trying to go to biweekly or semi-weekly or whatever. So the 19th, I will send around a calendar invite, and we'll try to get the PD job description across the finish line. Then maybe take a look at the performance evaluation piece again, and I'll try to get Julie and Matthew here. So that is a piece. We'll see if we have to scramble our schedule a little bit for them, but I think those are my items. Anything else from board members at this point? Oh, okay. Well, great. Thanks, everyone. Very productive meeting. Appreciate everyone's time and effort.
Okay, good luck
see
getting
everyone.
home.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I'll make it back to the snow soon enough. So
Okay.
Enjoy being down there.
I'm
Good night,
trying.
everyone.
All right, night all. Bye-bye.
Bye.